Micron Stock is one of the top 3 memory companies in the world, and with the evolution of artificial intelligence, memory is getting a lot of bullish attention. But even with the bullish sentiment, the stock is down over 40% from its yearly high and is only up 10% year to date, underperforming the vast semiconductor market. The main reason is that analysts have become highly bearish in the memory space. Do you think these analysts are overlooking the AI market, or are retail investors filled with too much AI hope? Let me know in the comments below, but before my memory fades me, see what I did there? Memory? Don't forget to hit the thumbs up and subscribe button. All jokes aside, in today's episode, we will do the following. First, we're going to take a quick look at the bearish sentiment from analysts. Next, we're going to do a quick overview of Micron products, followed by management commentary from recent earnings and conferences. What I believe is going to be the magic push for AI in the memory space, and obviously my overall thoughts. So let's get started.
I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video, and check out fool.com/Jose for the 10 best stocks to buy now. With that link, you get a promotional offer for the subscription service. Now, let's continue with today's episode.
All right, so let's start off with the bearish sentiment. And the first thing is just analyst ratings for Micron Technology continue to be on the bearish side, especially for September and late August. I mean, we can see here most recently UBS and Citigroup recently reduced their price target. UBS from 153 to 135, Citigroup from 175 down to 150. We also had other names like Morgan Stanley decrease it from 140 to 100, and one of the biggest was a double downgrade from BNP from $140 to $67 and downgrading it from outperform to underperform. We're going to see a lot of the reasons why, but right now we can definitely see a lot of bearish sentiment in the price target. It's also very important to understand that most of these analysts are looking for price targets within the next 12 months or so. So a market can be bullish in the long term, but be bearish in the short term. And it seems like that is what most analysts are projecting right now. So let's start off with Raymond James. They adjusted their outlook of Micron Technology, reducing the price target to 125 from 160. The revision follows the company's management comments at a recent investor conference, which indicates lower near-term growth in non-HBM DRAM and NAND markets. The analyst noted that the PC and smartphone customers have been stockpiling inventory in advance, and that can unfortunately be seen as a bearish case for future revenue and future earnings per share for Micron. Now, we also saw Morgan Stanley slash their price target to $100 from $140, and very similar, they are seeing kind of this cyclical peak in the NAND and DRAM market right now, so that's kind of creating some form of bearish sentiment for the stock. Analysts from Citigroup, who also reduced their price target, are in a very similar space where they expect the company to post results and guidance below consensus driven by legacy DRAM weakness. While it appears that there has been an inventory build in DRAM in the PC and handset end markets, we believe this should be finished by the end of the year. So very similar to what I'm discussing is many analysts see a kind of over inventory build in the memory market, at least for the short term of things, but in the long term, some of them are still a little bit bullish. Now, one of the most bearish is going to be BNP, and that was the one that reduced the price target from 140 to $67, right? A huge cut there. And they mentioned that Micron will underperform its artificial intelligence peers through 2025 as high bandwidth memory capacity oversupply leads to a faster than expected mass market correction of conventional DRAM selling prices. And they see their earnings estimates for Micron are 34 and 45% below consensus for 2025 and 2026 earnings. So we can see BNP is extremely bearish. They believe that DRAM prices would likely peak in November quarter, and that obviously there's going to be a lot of downside after the memory prices peak. I mean, we can see here SK Hynix, who is the leader in HBM in the HBM market right now is down a nice amount from its year-to-date high. So this is definitely more of a market bearish sentiment opposed to a company bearish sentiment. Now, just a quick overview of the memory market. There's two main products in the memory market, and that is DRAM and NAND. And these two products are then broken down into more individualized product. For example, with NAND, that's where you're able to kind of build data center SSDs and SSDs for the client market, your typical consumer. Now, DRAM is the next market, and this market has a lot of products. So it is in kind of the computing market. They are also in the laptop market. Then you also have low power DDR, which is used in things like your phone, in your tablets, in your automotive. Then you have type of special memory that goes into consumer graphics cards, which is GDDR type memory. Outside of that, you also have high bandwidth memory that goes into AI accelerators. So you can see the two main products are NAND and DRAM, and then they kind of spread out into other products within that segment. And then if you're bullish in the data center market, you're obviously bullish in the growth of memory, because memory is used in everything from your CPU, from your GPU, from your accelerator, from your storage, from your SSD, from your memory expansion. So the list goes on and on and on. So memory market right now is one that's very bullish in data center. And we've also heard a lot about HBM, and I just kind of wanted to give a very quick top level overview of what HBM looks like. HBM is just DRAM stack on top of each other. So high bandwidth memory, which is very important in AI accelerators, you pretty much just stack DRAM dies on top and on top and on top of each other. We're going to talk a little bit later about how this is a little bit different, and yields are a little bit lower than this, so this can help out with things like over inventory issues. But right now it's good to understand how HBM is created, and it's just multiple specialized DRAM dies stack on top of each other. All right, so now that we understand the bearish sentiment, also now we understand a lot about the memory market and things like HBM, I want to take a closer look at some recent commentary from management. And one of the first issues is that analysts and pretty much market investors might be worried that Micron might be spending too much on capex in the next few years to build up capacity. And many believe that this capacity is meant to be capacity that's happening right now or to be built up right now. And this is a worry that, hey, look, why are you building so much right now? What if this AI market slows down? You're just going to have all these factories and all these assemblies that are not going to be doing anything. And Micron CEO just wanted to reiterate that right now, the capex of that they're spending, even though they mentioned that capex in fiscal year of 2025 will increase meaningfully versus fiscal year of 2024, a vast majority of that will be related to construction capex as well as HBM assembly capacity capex. And they mentioned for the later part of the decade, technology transitions will not be sufficient by themselves in driving the big growth requirement to meet the AI demand that is projected through this decade. And new capacity will be required, and that's where some of the construction capex will be going to. So it's not just for current increase in capacity, it's also for future capacity build. The great thing is for future capacity build, if there is any slowdown, they can also kind of slow down or postpone some of those projects as well. So it's not like they're investing crazy amount of money right now. Now, the second thing I want to discuss is those reports that we saw from analysts that kind of created a bearish sentiment. So the CEO did mention that the smartphone and PC customers have built up some inventory, and that is really primarily for three reasons. They mentioned that most people see pricing going up, so a lot of these companies want to lock into the pricing right now. The second is really the strong demand of data center market, and we saw the data center market uses DRAM for a variety of solutions, not just HBM. And they understand that HBM is actually a factor. If we go back to that image, that each HBM stack has multiple DRAM dies. So if you're building a lot of HBM, you're gonna be using a lot of DRAM die. So a lot of these PC companies and smartphone companies want to make sure they have inventory allocated for them. And third is obviously the AI content in smartphone and PCs continue to grow. I mean, we're gonna see some images in a bit, but right now the amount of memory you see in your phone phone and your computer are increasing almost on a yearly basis. So those are the three reasons why these players are building inventory. Obviously, anytime a company is building inventory, it definitely can create various bearish sentiment and bearish risk for a company like Micron, right? Because over inventory purchase is definitely a thing, and we see it a lot in the semiconductor space, and that's what analysts are very, very worried about. Another bearish sentiment came out in the most recent conference where the CEO mentioned that they looked at their fiscal quarter 1 and they believe that bit shipments will be somewhat flattish or slightly up versus quarter 4, which they just ended, and we should have the earnings report, I believe, next week. So it showcases here that there's not much growth happening between quarter 4 fiscal year and quarter 1 fiscal year. So again, that's creating some bearish sentiment. If there's such a huge demand for the memory market, why aren't we expected to see sequential growth? Now, on the bullish side, the CEO mentions that HBM is one that they feel very good about for calendar year of 2025. Not only is volume sold out, but a good portion of their pricing is already determined as well. So if one is worried about memory market pricings, these kind of long-term agreements can help with that. They also mentioned that for this fiscal past quarter 3, which was their first quarter of revenue shipments, was about $100 million. But they expect for the next fiscal year, they will be doing roughly multiple billions of dollars of revenue. Now, one thing that is important is there is a trade-off ratio between HBM and DRAM. And there is a 3-to-1 ratio today. And this contributes to that ripple effect of pricing in the rest of the business as well. And that's what really makes the overall DRAM supply environment tight and makes the overall DRAM pricing environment healthy as we look ahead of calendar year of 2024 and calendar year of 2025. This is, again, very important to mention. And you might be wondering, Jose, what do you mean by a 3-to-1 ratio? What's happening here? So the CEO does it way better at explaining, and he mentions that an important factor with HBM, as they discuss, is that HBM takes about 3 times as many HBM3E takes about 3 times as many wafers as standard product or standard DRAM to produce the same number of bits given in that technology node. So this is going to help control any oversupply issue. And they mentioned as they look ahead into HBM4 in 2026 timeframe, it would take even a bigger ratio. And therefore, when we look at managing our oversupply, of course, that is an important consideration as well. So that's very important to understand because that can be a huge changer if there is an oversupply in DRAM memory or there is an undersupply in DRAM memory, right? If there's such a huge demand of HBM, you're gonna most likely be giving some of that DRAM market that you're doing to the PC, to the mobile space, and giving it to the HBM space, and you're using 3 times as many more wafers. So if you want to pause it a little bit here, the executive vice president of Micron Technology kind of explained why it's such a trade-off ratio. There's a lot of reasoning, like just the requirements of performance, also that they need more spacing, also kind of yielding issues. And again, he does really well at breaking it down. So pause this video if you want to learn more. Now, I just want to showcase my overall AI growth opportunities. So, I mean, like we mentioned, AI market continues to grow. This is going to be a very bullish sentiment for the memory space. You also have more memory being needed in things like phones, mobile productions, tablets, and you need more memory in things like autonomous driving. So there's a lot and a lot of products increasing the demand of DRAM solutions. I mean, we can see the Pixel 8 is a perfect example. The Pixel 8 had 8 gigs of RAM. Now the Pixel 9 has 12 gigs of RAM because they're focusing more on AI aspects. The other thing is we are seeing kind of like the Apple iPhone right now only has 8 gigs on the iPhone 16. As they continue to evolve into more AI solutions, I believe this is gonna increase. Now, I also decided to look at Best Buy, and Best Buy, this is kind of their Copilot and AI PCs. Their Copilot and AI PCs have a minimum of 16 gigabytes of RAM. This is not necessarily the case. Normally, when we used to look at PCs, the cheap version would be like 4 gigs, maybe 6 gigs, maybe 8 gigs, but now the minimum is 16. So we're seeing how AI is continuing to drive more memory. Outside of that, we also have pretty cool projects like the robotics industry, either humanoid robots or industrial robots that can help the need of memory solutions. AMD here, for example, also with their AI accelerators, they mentioned that with the MI325, the MI350, they're going to continue to increase memory computation and continue to be memory leadership. Now, if we look at NVIDIA, we see that NVIDIA, in forms of HBM stack, they're going from 8 stacks, 12 high, 8 high, and the list goes on and on. So the amount of HBM memory is increasing for each type of GPU architecture for the AI space. Then you have all these other AI accelerator companies. You have TPUs from Google, you have chips from Microsoft, from Amazon, and all those companies are also going to need HBM. Now, recently there was, I think this is going to be the biggest bullish thing for memory market right now, and it's something that just happened. Recently, OpenAI released a new model, and this new model is a model that thinks before it answers. It can produce long internal chain of thoughts, and we can see from this slide right here that the cost of inference is increasing with these new models of O1 and O1 mini and O1 preview because you're increasing your inference cost. And inference cost is very highly dependent on the memory market and how much memory you have in that AI accelerator. Now, this is just in early innings. We can see a scientist in OpenAI mentions that OpenAI's O1 thinks for seconds, but they aim for future versions to think for hours, days, even weeks. Inference costs will be a lot higher, and the need for HBM memory is gonna continue to increase. But overall, what cost would you pay for a new cancer drug, for breakthrough batteries, for a proof of some hypothesis? AI can be more than chatbots. So again, the amount of inferencing is gonna increase, and I do believe that is very, very, very bullish for the AI market in the long term of things. Now, looking at Micron technology, I think Micron technology is going to be one of those high risk, high rewards. The memory market is always very volatile due to highly commodity space. Even though there's 3 players, those 3 players play in crazy, crazy pricing wars. I think Micron at these levels definitely seems very attractive. I'm a little bit more bullish on the stock based on its current pricing right now. I think it's very sitting at a great attractive levels, especially if this memory market is going in the direction that we're going. But that's a lot of risk in my opinion, and the stock can definitely be very volatile and drop. Now, one way that I would like to play the memory market is with companies like Lam Research and semiconductor equipment that focus in this memory space. Lam Research is a company that provides semiconductor equipment really focused in the semiconductor market, and I've done plenty of videos before. If I wanted a little bit less risk but still some exposure into the memory market, Lam Research would be a perfect play. I wouldn't say, like I mentioned, Micron is not a stock I would be completely bearish on. It's just a stock that has a lot more risk and also a lot more reward potential. So I hope that explains a little bit about the memory market. I definitely mentioned some strong bullish sentiments in this space. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Take care, have a good day, and see you next time.